Hello, everyone. My name is Fabian. I'm the product manager for GitLab Geo, and I'll update you with our new plans for 13.10, the next GitLab release. Okay, so what is going to happen in 13.10? As a quick reminder, the Geo team is working on increasing the overall maturity of our product for disaster recovery at the moment. This is our main focus. We've made some really great improvements in the last release, 13.9. For example, we shipped maintenance mode, a read-only mode that makes it easier to complete a failover and helps administrators in many other instances of maintenance as well. And we're also very close to wrapping up verification for package files. So I've left it in here because this is not merged, but there's still a little bit of time until 13.9 gets released. I'm quite confident that we'll get it in, but nevertheless. So Geo replicates data from a secondary to one or several primaries. And at the moment, we verify data that is stored in Git, which is important because it means that any data that gets replicated is actually not corrupted when it arrives. So far for files, we were not able to do this dynamically. We have some tools to do it sort of at rest for a large number of files. But yeah, it's not possible sort of on a, when it is replicated, it is actually verified, and when it arrives, it gets verified. All of that we have been working on, and that's quite important to ensure that there's no data corruption on the secondary. So yeah, other than a couple of items that hopefully will merge, if they slip into 13.10, it'll roll out then. We're done with that. And this leads to a couple of other things. I'll talk about petroni in a little while. So the way we implemented file verification, it actually becomes part of our overall replication framework for replicating data, which is available to developers at GitLab, but also available to folks in the wider GitLab community who may want to contribute. So with that being said, we already replicate a number of files, for example, LFS files or uploads that are not yet part of the self-service framework. So one of the downsides of that is that these data don't get verified. But with this merging, we'll actually just need to move these file types into the self-service framework to support verification, get it into our standard framework. There's also likely some performance benefits. So with this wrapping up, in 13.10, we'll continue moving LFS files, but we'll also start moving uploads or attachments, as they are called in other places. This will take us at least a couple of releases for the database migrations, but this is something that we understand how to do, and we're quite confident that we can complete. And this then will mean that LFS files are also verified, uploads are verified, job artifacts may come in 13.11. So this is something here. It's really important just to improve the overall completeness of our replication offering. Another thing that I would like to talk about a little bit more in detail is petroni support. So petroni is a high availability template for Postgres. This means that you can stand up a cluster of Postgres nodes. We use petroni in production on GitLab.com already. And we've used Rep Manager in the past to provide the same functionality for our self-managed customers. One of the downsides of using Rep Manager was that we were not able to provide a secondary standby cluster for disaster recovery purposes, which then means if you fail over to a secondary in a planned failover or a disaster situation, you have to essentially reinitialize an entire highly available Postgres cluster, which is tedious and takes time. And a better solution here would be to provide a high availability Postgres cluster on a secondary. And we'll use petroni for this. We've released alpha in, I believe, 13.5. but we're working on beta support, and these are the items that are outstanding. So we have a few things for 13.10. We are continuing to polish what is available by improving our commands, working on some load balancing improvements in 13.9, but in 13.10, we'll continue sort of improving the overall maturity. And one interesting feature here would be also to support a petroni cluster for the tracking database. And the tracking database is a geo-specific database that sort of keeps the state for geo, and people may be interested in actually having a highly available system here as well. So we are going to look at supporting petroni for this too. Yeah, and we intend to finish this in 13.10, and then we're planning for general availability in 14.0. That's quite exciting for us because that would allow many of our large customers to actually have a secondary standby cluster. We're also continuing to instrument usage ping. So the data we are able to collect from secondary nodes, this is really for us to understand how secondary nodes are being used and to help us make improvements. So we are instrumenting that. There's been a little bit of discussion with the data team on how to do this best, and we're continuing that effort in 13.10. We're also continuing to implement a new design for the geo node page. This is how it's going to look like. Our front-end engineer is already working on it and is making some progress with items in 13.10. We'll keep you posted. This is sort of an ongoing effort. And then these things here with some of the larger epics like maintenance mode wrapping up, the package file verification wrapping up, we're also leaving a little bit of room for quality of life improvements. What I mean by that is fixing some bugs, improving, for example, some of the output for some of our commands to make them more user-friendly, small incremental improvements that don't neatly fit in our epic hierarchy, but that are valuable and also give us a chance to overall increase the polish of Geo. And that's it for 13.10. I hope you look forward to those improvements as much as I do. Thank you for listening and have a great rest of your day.